welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. Great to be with you. Hope you're having a good day, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing, coast to coast and globally. Well, going to report on things that are in your food and beverages. Not good. You know, I don't know. You'll see. It's so strange. And there's a little survey out. They did some ranking of the healthiest countries in the world. We'll have a little quiz. You like quizzes?
You always get me on them quizzes.
Yeah, I know. Them quizzes is bad. Oh, my goodness. So we'll take a look at that and so much more. Going to talk about, you may not have it, but you might still be interested. Going to talk about diabetes today and matters related. And even though you may not be diagnosed with diabetes or you're not pre-diabetic, you can still benefit from this conversation because right now, because the different, how can I put this, principles, the role of insulin and too much insulin, you'll see, you will benefit. There's much to learn here. We are in the throes of a diabetes epidemic, and it's coincident with the obesity epidemic. This is a two-headed disease dragon, as I describe it, or just recently described it, something I wrote. A two-headed disease dragon. It's terrible. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and obesity. They are just taking a heavy toll on people's quality of life and their life, taking it away. So we'll chat about that. I'll try to inform you about diabetes, about what you can do, even though you're not diabetic, to use some of the principles to prevent diabetes so that you do better, even though you're not diabetic, with glucose and insulin. Insulin is a lifesaver, but insulin can destroy the quality of your life and take your life when you got too much of it going on. You'll see. Connected, I'll save it. I'm going to be talking about that with Dominique Ostrander today. And there are things that you can do to manage your glucose levels and your insulin levels. And as you get older, you become more at risk suffering from hyperinsulinemia. And that's not good. It's connected to all different diseases. It's amazing. So we'll talk about that. And we always love it when we can make contact with you, and you can connect with us by
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. Dr. Garko's personal email is drgarko at letstalknutrition.com. Follow us, like us, and share us on the Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, on the Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is online at Let's Talk Nutrition, where everything is recorded by date. It's archived by date, and it's also closed captioned for the hearing impaired. We've got over 61,000 likes and 1,100 videos on there.
Outstanding. It's a virtual library of hopefully not just information, but insight and some guidance from all the different guests and all the things we talk about on the show. Yesterday, I closed out the show with the health question, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday, and it deals with a recall, and I used it as a health question. Turns out 86 tons, if you can just think about that for a second, how much that is. How many trucks would it take? You know, you see these haulers, when they're doing road work and they come and they're dumping dirt or picking up dirt and they're taking it out of there by the ton. 86 tons of food being recalled from frozen food. Frozen Boston market dinners specifically. 86 tons of it recalled from retailers across our country, and including the Defense Department facility. Oh, my. Why? Well, consumers, alertly discovered and then reported pieces of plastic and glass in the food. Now, I wonder how that happens. Was that intentional? Was that sabotage? Did something go wrong in the factory, the manufacturing facility, rather? It's the food is produced by Bellisio Foods in Jackson, Ohio. And it was between December 7th, 2018 and February 15th, 2019. The boneless pork rib patties may be contaminated with extraneous materials. Is that what you're calling them? Specifically, pieces of glass and hard plastic. This is according to the United States Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Services, FSIS. This is announced Saturday. Now, founded in 1990, Bellisio makes more than 400 frozen food products marketed under its Michelinas and Eat brands, as well as under licensed brands including Boston Market, Chili's, and Atkins. Wow. It's a bit. Who is Bellisio? Gary, see if you can find Bellisio Foods. Bellisio. Bellisio. It almost sounds like some Italian word to mean beautiful. I don't know. They're playing off of that. Bellisio.
Yeah, it's called the Beautiful Foods Company.
There you go. Thank you. The problem was discovered when consumers complained about glass or hard plastic material in the rib-shaped patty. There have not been any reports of any adverse effects. Nobody's gotten seriously ill or injured. The recalled Boston Market microwave dinners have best buy dates ranging from December of this year to mid-February 2020. These are frozen foods. The recalled product should be thrown away or returned to the place of purchase. I would think so. You showed a picture of those ribs, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Flash them back up real quick.
I don't know. There you go. That's what it looks like. I'm sure Boston Market's in a twist over this. I'm trying to think about how much 86 tons would look like.
I was looking for a picture because you had me curious. I was like, man, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That would be a lot of dirt. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna landscape the yard. How much dirt you gonna? I'm gonna use about 86 tons. Really? What are you landscaping for? Yankee Stadium. 86 tons of these bad boy ribs, bro. Oh my. They're boneless pork ribs. And then for you beer and wine drinkers, how can you eat those ribs without a little bit of beer and maybe some wine? When we come back, I'm going to tell you what's going on there. These food safe every day, almost every single day, there's some issue with food or beverages. It's amazing. Let's talk nutrition coast to coast and globally. No ribs here.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. It's me, your immune system. I'm always
Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Great to be with you. Hope you're having a good day wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. I just reported on plastic and glass being in Boston Market frozen food, some frozen dinners, and 86 tons worth. Something else to think about now, too. Turns out that consumer watchdog group, I believe here in Florida, my memory serves me, found glyphosate, which is the main ingredient for Roundup. Where do you think they found it? In beer and wine. This is not good. USPIRG, PIRG, that's an acronym, Gary?
Right.
Who is that? PIRG. They tested samples. I know they're a watchdog group. I never looked up what that acronym means. They tested samples of popular beer and wine brands, and they found glyphosate in 19 out of the 20 brands.
Public Interest Research Group.
Right. There you go. Not to be confused with the Environmental Working Group, which is another watchdog group. PIRG is good and EWG is good. The glyphosate, as I've reported on, it's everywhere now. This ingredient in Roundup, produced by, of course, Monsanto, but there is no more Monsanto. That name is gone, isn't it? Didn't we?
Yeah, they changed it. It's now Bayer.
Right. It's a German company. Bayer bought Monsanto. Can you imagine?
Well, I don't know if you're familiar, but in the agricultural business, Bayer's a big name.
Oh, big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge name in the ag business. And up by us, we have several feed stores, and you walk in there and just tons of Bayer products.
Yeah, people thought, you just make aspirin.
Yeah.
Well, they found 51 parts per billion. They said that's in the safe level. Listen here. They do this all the time. For all these hundreds and thousands of chemicals. They say, there's safe levels that you can ingest these at safe levels. If you were just talking about one chemical, maybe, just maybe, I might say, okay, all right. But it's one after another on top of another, and then include another yet. And by the time the day's over, you've ingested chemicals that don't need to be in your body at so-called safe levels. One wonders, when you put them all together, how safe is it? I wonder. I'm not familiar with this company, Singato Beer.
Japanese beer.
That's a gym. Oh, it is. See, you guys know. How do you guys know these things? Tsingtao. Singato beer contained 49 parts per billion of the chemical. Corona, Corona drinkers, Miller Lite, and Budweiser, had 25 to 30 parts per billion of the substance. Guinness and Heineken contained 20 parts per billion. Stella Artois and Sam Adams had trace amounts of the weed killer.
Guinness surprises me because that beer is manufactured entirely overseas.
I wonder about that. Well, they got weeds in Japan, right? I'm sure that they're using weed killers there. Here's a quote. This is from Kara Cook-Schultz, U.S. PIRG's Toxic Program Director. She's with the Watchdog Group. These levels are far below those that could potentially cause harm in humans. Well, then why don't you go ahead and drink a six-pack one of those? Have at it. Let's go to Tampa, Florida. Linda, welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. You can put your Sam Adams down. It's not drinkable. You drinking beer at 9:25 in the morning? Is that what you're doing? No, you're not. Hi, Linda.
How you doing?
I bet you nobody's ever said that to you, huh?
No, sure ever. I do not drink first thing in the morning. Trust me.
Yeah, I do trust you. You wanted to talk about?
Yes, I want to talk about the I have heard about information. You know, blocking the information.
Oh yeah, you suffering? What were your joints hurting you?
Well, I have a little arthritis. You know, built up, and I'd like to know.
Okay, let's talk.
Really decent that I can take. Is
all right.
Side effects, hopefully.
Let's talk about that. Do your hands hurt? Your feet hurt? What hurts?
No, it's just my knees.
Your knees
flare up a little bit.
Okay. All right. So, being that I'm a PhD and not an MD, I can't treat, prescribe, and do those kinds of things. But I can talk about what I can do, and what I do with clients is talk about what we know from the literature and from the science. If you can hang on, we'll go into some. We're going to close out this block. We're going to go into some messages. We'll come back. I'll bring my guest on, and she may have a thought or two about how to deal with inflammation. I just had somebody last night in the gym come up to me, and I'm trying to help this fella with his inflammation, and got a little protocol that was put together, and we're trying to see if it's going to work for him. He's got issues with his back, and it's all, he's got inflammation everywhere. So we can try to manage it, and we can, and so we'll do that when we come back. Also, somebody came up to me, one of my pals, the other day. I reported on skin cancer and the sun and lesions, and I'll tell you, but he said to me, people do listen.
Don't be stressed out or anxious.
to Let's Talk Nutrition, coast to coast and globally, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show. Thank you so much. Dominique Ostrander is my guest today. We're going to be talking about diabetes and the issues related to diabetes. You say, well, I don't have diabetes. I'm not going to listen today. That would be a mistake. There's much to learn here. I'm going to tell you about the light side and the dark side, if you will, of insulin. It can save your life or it can take your life. And you'll want to hear this. I'm telling you, you'll be surprised. Hyperinsulinemia is correlated with Alzheimer's and other diseases. The body just does not like to have insulin at these high levels coursing through in the bloodstream. It just doesn't. Linda in Tampa called, and she'd been waiting patiently. And so we'll implicate my guest. I'll introduce her in the moment, but I'm just going to bring her on, and I'll introduce her properly in a second. Dominique, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. We have a caller. Hi. We have a listener in Tampa. She has arthritis, from what she said, and she has inflammation. So that's what this call is, and so you may have some ideas about this, and let's see what Linda has to say. Hi, Linda. Welcome back. First of all, thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for calling in. I know that people, people a little bit apprehensive about calling in because even though it's radio, it's still, so I appreciate you doing it. Thank you. So, have you been diagnosed with arthritis? Has anybody told you have arthritis, or did you figure it out on your own?
Yes, I've been diagnosed with osteoarthritis.
Osteoarthritis. Is it in your hands? Uh-huh. Is it in your hands?
No, it's like a little in my knee and then my hip.
In your knees and hips. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And just a little in my back.
And some in your back. Okay. And it's uncomfortable, right?
Well, in the morning time when I get up, it's kind of stiffy, and then I stir around, it get back normal,
I know.
Hurting and that kind of thing.
Sure, your quality of life is disrupted. Dominique, generally speaking, thinking about arthritis and then inflammation, they go together. I know that there's a lot of supplements that are designed to try to moderate the discomfort associated with osteoarthritis and or otherwise the inflammation. Jar of Formulas has a thing or two, right?
Oh, definitely. Good morning, Linda. How are you?
Good morning, fine, you.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you're uncomfortable with your OA. You're not alone, I can tell you that. There are lots of people,
know that.
including myself,
I understand that.
Yeah, that are suffering from OA, and it's definitely not easy. And you're right. In the morning time is generally the worst for people, and after a lot of work during the day, it can be pretty bad too. If you were bending a lot or using your hands a lot, that can, depending upon where your OA is, overuse, or it's not technically considered overuse, but overuse for somebody that has OA can cause a lot of problems. So as far as supplementation goes, are you taking anything right now currently to help with the OA?
I take a little stuff from my. I take stuff right there from have something to do with Terry Natural.
Oh,
okay.
What is from Terry's now? What is it? Curcumin or something?
Yeah, more like that. Curcumin.
Okay.
The pain, stop pain. But I haven't been too long start taking it.
Okay.
Just recently started taking it.
You recently started taking it. All right.
Yes.
And did you notice any difference? Was there any reduction in the inflammation or discomfort? Took too long to answer. The answer is no.
Not that much.
Well,
the answer is no.
Right.
Well,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Supplementation takes longer.
Sometimes it may. How long have you been taking the product? How long have you been taking the product?
Oh, about 3 weeks now.
Okay. All right. So, Jar of Formulas has a curcumin product. doesn't
we
it?
do. And I would suggest, I love our curcumin phytosome. I use it myself. I actually have OA in my knee and in my fingers. And I can tell you that my own testimonial is that our curcumin phytosome has definitely helped. It's a patented form of curcumin, and it's a curcumin extract, and it's complexed with phosphatidylcholine. And that big word means that there's enhanced bioavailability of the curcumin, because a lot of times the delivery systems of the curcumin are not effective. Curcumin is hard to actually take in, and sometimes different forms of it work better for other people. So Jaro curcumin phytosome is what I would recommend.
So it's
to help.
Linda, that would be Jaro Formulas curcumin. It's phytosome. It's sold in health stores throughout the country. What is dosage on that, Dominique?
Well, we recommend 1 capsule a day, but honestly, I take 2. If I'm being really honest, I take 2 every day.
Mm-hmm. And you noticed, anecdotally, a reduction in the discomfort for yourself?
I do. I definitely.
Well, and I know how picky you are, so.
Yeah, right.
If
I live here. That's what I always tell any physician. I'm like, I live here, as I point to my body.
Me and her both kind of picky.
You're kind of picky.
I would say it that way.
All right, so you might want to consider Jaro Formulas curcumin phytosome curcumin product. What else, Dominique? What about glucosamine and things like those kind of compounds, MSM and whatnot?
Right. I do like glucosamine chondroitin MSM. I do think that offers a lot of joint support. Hyaluronic acid, I think that offers, again, joint support. So there are things that help support the joints over time. OA unfortunately can be degenerative, and, over time it'll get worse. So again, it's more of a systemic inflammation that we want to watch.
Right.
And, you want to definitely, as part of today's radio show, we're talking about high insulin levels. If you're already diabetic, you definitely want to get that under control, because that's going to exacerbate any OA symptoms.
Are you diabetic? Are you diabetic?
No, I'm not.
Okay, thank God.
I'm not diabetic or high blood, neither one.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, Dominique. Go ahead.
Good. Okay, so no high blood pressure, no diabetes.
Great.
No.
So, so that's something that's important.
So do you have a supplement that has like MSM, glucosamine, or a combination?
We do. Oh, definitely.
All right. When we come back,
glucosamine. Don't
hang up. We're headed out of this block. Don't hang up, Linda. We'll give you another product that is designed to nourish the joints. You want to do both. You want to put the fire out, and you want to try to keep building do the rebuilding. We'll be right back. And Dominique Ostrander is our guest today. We're talking. We're going to talk about diabetes today. A very important topic. You may say, "I don't have diabetes. I'm not pre-diabetic. This doesn't relate to me." Oh, think again. You'll see. And going back to Linda. So, Linda, that one product that Dominique mentioned is, I'll let her tell you. It's called, Dominique?
Curcumin Phytosome. And again, it's a curcumin product with phosphatidylcholine to increase bioavailability and absorption in your body.
Okay. And then do you have a product where it's a sort of a constellation of ingredients to help with joints, the rebuilding of, nourishing the joints?
We do. We have glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM.
Oh, combined.
So,
that's good.
Combined. And there, basically for joint health, there are 3 requirements to keep cartilage healthy. Water for lubrication, proteoglycans to attract and hold the water, and then collagen to keep the proteoglycans in place. So glucosamine actually is a major building block of the water-loving proteoglycans. So it's important to have a good combination of things to help support the joint in those 3 ways. So again, that's what glucosamine chondroitin does. Glucosamine sulfate actually stimulates proteoglycan production, which is found in your joint cartilage. Chondroitin attracts the fluid into the proteoglycans, and MSM is a sulfur source for inclusion in joints. So all 3 work together to help keep, if you're having suboptimal joint issues, to help keep the joint mobile and lubricated.
And
so it's a really good choice.
What's the name of what's the name on the label?
Glucosamine chondroitin MSM.
All right. So there's 3 ingredients in that product, Linda. Glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM, and that's the name of the product. That's also by Jarrow Formulas. If you didn't catch all this, all these shows are archived at letstalknutrition.com, and you'll be able to find them there under a show schedule, or you can go to YouTube and pick it up there on a video. So those are 2 general dietary supplement recommendations that might help moderate the inflammation from the osteoarthritis. Have you found this a little bit helpful?
Yeah, I'm just a little helpful from it.
All right, so
since I've been taking this,
you can continue to take that product that you have, but you might want to consider those 2 products from Jarrow Formula. It's curcumin Phytosome, and then the chondroitin MSM. What was the other one?
Glucosamine.
Yeah. Okay, Linda.
I can get that at my health store, food store.
Yeah, it's Jarrow Formula is the brand.
Okay, then.
All right, Linda. Thank you so much.
You have a nice one.
You have a nice day as well. Okay. All right, Dominique. Brought you on threw you right into the kettle. So.
No problem.
Welcome to the show. Listen. When I was telling Gary, when somebody calls the show and asks that kind of question, that tells me that they're really in discomfort because people are shy and they don't typically like to call, even though they're not seen. It's radio. It still makes them uncomfortable. So for somebody to call, I know that she really needed a little bit of guidance. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
Of course.
So how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
As far as I can tell, we're so far so good.
Are you getting ready for California?
Well, yeah. I mean, I take it one day at a time. To me, that's a lifetime away. That's a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so. I get that.
I
totally get that, actually.
I'm not there yet. I'm not at Disneyland yet. Not the Anaheim. Mm-hmm. We're going to Anaheim in a couple of weeks for the
No, next week.
Oh, is it next week?
Next week.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Is it next week? Are you sure?
It is next week. It's next Wednesday. next Wednesday we fly out. I don't know when you guys fly out, but the show starts a week from Thursday.
All right. Okay. All right. Good enough. Good. I'm glad you told me.
Time flies.
Yeah. Listen, I'm here right now in this moment. Anaheim is right. The Anaheim Convention Center, as I was saying, is right next to Disneyland. Literally, right next door. So, I'm not in Disneyland today. Well, some people think I am. Not so much. Yeah, want to talk about diabetes with you today. This is a very important topic. I think even though somebody may not be diagnosed with diabetes, I think the lessons to be learned from diabetes and glucose and insulin management can serve everybody well. What is your take on that?
Absolutely. In fact, this morning, I received an article from Cardiology News saying in the American Heart Association scientific statement, Sarah DeFerranti, she's a medical doctor of Boston Children's Hospital and chair of the writing group, and her colleagues highlighted a 2016 study that identified a 2-fold to 3-fold higher risk of CVD-related mortality among patients who were overweight or obese compared with patients of normal weight. Patients with obesity and severe obesity are at increased risk of aortic or coronary fatty streaks, dyslipidemia, high blood pressure, hyperglycemia, and insulin resistance, as well as inflammatory and oxidative stress, the American Heart Association writing group noted. So,
how can I get that article?
Our young kids.
How can I get that article?
I will send it to you right this moment.
Outstanding. What happens with Dominica's underscoring is that obesity, usually hyperinsulinemia, horrible glucose and insulin management issues are off the chain with obesity. Diabetes, in other words, is correlated. And I call it the diabetes epidemic and the obesity epidemic as a two-headed disease monster, or disease dragon is what I called it. And it is. And it's devastating the health of tens of thousands of people in this country. Be mindful. Almost 40% of the population is obese. We're 10 points away from half. Half. It won't be long. We'll be there. I remember when I started reporting on this, it was in the upper 30s. Now we're in the 40% range. Unbelievable. And diabetes is running in parallel with it. They go together. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition, featuring Dominic Ostrander, coast to coast and globally today. Are you tired of being tired? So and rodents in the same sentence. Uh-oh. Welcome back.
You scare me when you say stuff like that.
Donuts and rodents in the same sentence. You know, people should be able to eat food and not have to worry about these things. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. And then in the first hour today, I reported on 86 tons. Sound like Ernie, what was it?
16 tons.
Who was that? Ernie what? What was his name? God, I can see him now. Oh, Ernie something or other. 16 tons, what do you get? Well, this was 86 tons, and what do you get? Well, you get a recall. And then I also, that dealt with the issue with Boston Market, their frozen foods.
Tennessee Ernie Ford.
Thank you very much. He had a TV show, it was in black and white. Back in the day. He was a nice guy. Tennessee Ernie Ford, 16 tons. Big hit for him. So they recalled 86 tons of food. Boston Market frozen dinners. It was the ribs, by the way. This rib dinner. You might listen to the first hour. And then I reported on a recall of top name, not a recall, sort of this consumer group identified glyphosate in beer and wine, and the top brands too, Budweiser, Corona. I mean, it went down the list, right, Gary?
Yes.
Yeah, and they said safe levels. You know what? As far as I'm concerned, glyphosate at any level is not good. It shouldn't be. And they're finding now, you can see how it's just spreading throughout now the food chain and at safe levels. Well, how many of these chemicals can a person take at safe levels before all of them together might create some consequence for the person? If we were just talking about one chemical, that's fine. Maybe. But we're talking about thousands of chemicals in the environment. And some of them at any level are no good. And the FDA gives its blessing, safety blessing on some of these chemicals. They, at certain levels is just fine. Nothing to see here. Drink up. No. Not me. I don't know about you, but that's my thinking. I was trying to find that article. I sent it to you, didn't I? Here?
Yes.
You need to turn your mic on.
Yes.
Thank you. This is radio. You need a microphone, pal. Who am I to tell you? The Consumer Watchdog Group found traces of Roundup weed killer in beer and wine. And my guest today is a big and heavy beer and wine drinker. There you go. You're hearing it live. So the beer, I was looking for the brands. Guinness, Heineken, Corona, Miller Lite, Budweiser. Oh, my. All these, those are top name brands. Sintago beer, which Gary tells me is a Japanese beer. They were finding, like, in that beer, they found 49 parts per billion. They said, oh, that's safe. Stella Artois, that beer, that beverage, 20 parts per billion. Sam Adams beer, they found the glyphosate weed killer in there. This, the food chain is contaminated. Why? Because the environment is contaminated. The soil, the water, the air. You wouldn't do this to the inside of your home. You wouldn't create an environment where these chemicals are floating around all over the place, in the carpet, in the air, in the water. You wouldn't do it. Well, the planet is our home. And I don't know what we're doing to it here. This is nuts. And we've known this for years. And it's the job of the federal government to help. Because if you're going to ask industry to voluntarily do the right thing, think again. It's not about the money, but it's always about the money. They're not going to do it on their own. And then they get all excited and worked up in a twist when the federal government comes in and starts creating these regulations. Oh, we're over-regulated. Really? We're over-regulated when it comes to keeping this planet safe? As far as I'm concerned, line them up, those regs, until we clean it up. We've created, we've turned the oceans into a giant toilet, the soil into a manure yard. I mean, I don't know what we're doing. It's not right. And I noticed this. I noticed that in young children, they're more dialed in. There were some young kids that confronted one of the candidates running for president. It was interesting. It was an interesting interaction. They were asking this person, I forget who the candidate was. I don't know, it was Klobuchar or who it was, about climate change. These are kids, 8 and 9 years old.
It was Mitch McConnell from Kentucky.
Was it? Good. And they were asking hard questions. And, and you see them doing that Jackie Gleason, hamada, hamada, hamada. Right? And that's what, right, Gary? Yeah. Hamada, hamada, hamada. Yeah. And I noticed these children, I think that's wonderful. And that's what we need. That, because, asking these, it takes children, not the companies, to do this. You would think these companies say, well, we're going to voluntarily clean up our act and quit dumping crap into the water, into the soil, and into the air. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll become an astronaut before that happens. This works me up. Well, I do get animated about it. So you're watching the planet being destroyed. It will survive this insult. We may perish, but the planet will survive. Here's a little quiz. What nation do you think was number one in the world for the healthiest? You had to guess. United States, Germany, Spain, or England? What do you think, Gary?
I say Germany.
You would, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because the Germans are so fastidious and lined up?
That, and they have free health care.
Yeah, nothing is free. No, it wasn't. It turns out it was Spain. If I could just turn off my computer. It was Spain. Spain was number one, and number 10 was, my recollection is Israel. Maybe they said it's the gazpacho or the paella in Spain.
Lycopene.
Italy was on that list. Guess what? We didn't make the top 10. Oh, I'm shocked. I'm going to fall out of the chair. I'll faint. We didn't make it. This is a 29 edition of the Bloomberg Healthiest Country Index. Did you have that article? Can you punch up the top 10, please? Mm-hmm. See, Gary's showing a sign, no dumping, $500 fine. And then right next to the sign looks like truckloads of garbage have been dumped there. You can't make that up. That's a classic sign. It's unbelievable. When are we going to learn? My guest today is Dominique Ostrander. She's pretty particular. She wouldn't throw stuff and debris and, people go to the beach. When they leave there, you think that somebody came by with a dump truck and dumped garbage on the beach. Clean up. And this, we think the planet is just, this is a free-for-all. We can do to the planet what we will. No, we can't. And when are we going to learn? I don't know. That's why you got glyphosate in your beer. And then I didn't get to the rodents and the donuts. We'll save that. We'll be back with Dominique Ostrander. Ridgecrest Herbal's original Clear Line. survey on the healthiest countries in the world, we didn't make the top 10. Let me just give you the top 10, and then we'll turn back to Dominique Ostrander. In this order, number 1 going to 10. Spain, Italy, Iceland, Japan, Switzerland, Sweden, Australia, Singapore, Norway, and Israel. We didn't make it. Did they mention where we... I wonder where we ranked, Gary. I don't know if you can find that or not. Let's see. I can't put my eyes on it. But we did not get there. Sub-Saharan Africa accounted for 27 of the 30 unhealthiest nations. They're in desperate need of help, and hopefully the United Nations will respond. That's a wonderful. Those countries, there's so much there. There's so much, but it's just not working. Dominique Ostrander is our guest today. Dominique, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. All right. So, diabetes mellitus. Maybe one way to talk about this, you can talk about, I guess, hyperglycemia. You don't have to have diabetes to be suffering from hyperglycemia, right?
Well, for an extended period of time, then you become insulin resistant. I mean, you can't you can't maintain a state of hyperglycemia for a length of time and not face repercussions.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like overeating. I mean, you can't keep overeating and then not gain weight. It doesn't happen that way. Yeah,
diabetes mellitus is a group of diseases. It's characterized by defect in insulin secretion, where the beta cells, the islets in the islets of Langerhans get destroyed, those beta cells, or increase cellular resistance to insulin, where you're insulin resistant. Since 1932, diabetes mellitus has been among the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States. It's a major cause of blindness, renal failure, congenital malformation, and lower extremity amputation. And that's the good news. Diabetes prevalence is highest in the elderly and in certain ethnic groups. African Americans, Hispanic Latinos, Asian Americans are especially prone to it. So, and this epidemic that we're in now is running in parallel with the obesity epidemic. They sort of go together, right, Dominique?
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, they definitely do. And, my first thought when you said, let's talk about diabetes on the air, and my mind always goes to advanced glycation end products. And people are going to be like, what are those? And they're lovingly abbreviated as AGEs. And advanced glycation end products are proteins or lipids that actually become glycated as a result of exposure to sugars. They're a factor in aging and the worsening of degenerative diseases such as diabetes or atherosclerosis, kidney failure, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and the list goes on and on.
Here are some, just to give you a heads up, here are some common symptoms of diabetes. You might be pre-diabetic and not know it. Urinating often, that's called polyuria. Feeling very thirsty, that's polydipsia. Feeling very hungry all the time, that's polyphagia. Extreme fatigue, blurry vision. When you get bruised or cut, it's hard to heal, takes a long time. Weight loss, even though you might be eating more, that would be more common with type 1 diabetes. And then tingling pain or numbness in the hands and feet. That's a sign of it's a symptom or a sign of type 2 diabetes. So those are classic. Controlling blood glucose and insulin levels, it's pretty difficult given the way people eat, right? I mean, that's the problem.
Right. It has to do with the Western diet, because modern diets, for example, when it comes to ages, for example, our modern diet is heat processed. And when something is heat processed, it contains high levels of AGEs, which are the advanced glycation end products.
Mm-hmm.
And this increases oxidative stress. So if you just look at what you eat in a day, if you really take a good hard look and you figure out, how much of the stuff that you eat comes from a box, how much of the stuff that you eat is processed, how much of the stuff are you buying in a restaurant? Are you really eating food, and I say this, and I put it in air quotes, in the most natural state? How much of your daily diet is that? And that's things that you all have to consider if you don't want to run the risk of insulin resistance. We're not talking about type 1 diabetes here. We're talking about type 2 insulin resistance. We're talking about the kind of high blood sugar that damages your nerves, which is what's causing that pain and tingling in your hands and your feet. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about obesity and being implicated, children being obese and severely obese that are having horrible diabetes at very young ages. It's terrible.
877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. People are learning to live at a young age in a diseased state when they don't need to. It's just diet and lifestyle. But the diet is the centerpiece of many of these chronic diseases. And of course, you can't eliminate lifestyle. I separate them. Sometimes people will throw diet into lifestyle, but I keep them separate. Managing stress, sleep and rest, exercise, relationships. It's a constellation of things. But how can you manage your blood glucose and insulin levels? We can do this through diet, supplementation, and lifestyle. We'll talk about that.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Take Hempanol.
pathogenic hallmark of diabetes mellitus is hyperglycemia, where you got too much blood glucose in the bloodstream, in the serum, right? Blood glucose serum. It's bad. Body doesn't like it. It rebels, and the downstream consequences or effects are just unbelievable. Talking about diabetes today, and when you go and get your blood test, you see a test on her A1C. That's now standard, right, Dominique? That almost everybody gets that these days, don't they?
I think so. I don't know if it's standard. I don't know that. That's a good question. I honestly don't know.
Every time I get a blood test, that's on there. Every single time it's ordered, and I'm not diabetic. It's just ordered. Hemoglobin.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if that. Yeah, I don't know if that's part of I do think it is part of a combination of what the doctor might be ordering.
Yeah, it's a panel.
So, because like basic blood work is like a CBC, CMP, and A1C is not included in that.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, it's not. No, it's not. On those,
right.
It's not.
Yeah, so I don't. So it would be a different panel.
Diabetes is diagnosed based on plasma glucose criteria. Either fasting plasma glucose, FPG, or 2-hour plasma glucose, or A1C criteria, hemoglobin A1C value greater than 6.5% is concerning. A normal fasting blood plasma glucose level is less than 100 milligrams per deciliter. Prediabetes is diagnosed when the fasting plasma glucose is 100 to 125 milligrams per deciliter. So, impaired glucose tolerance, they do that test as well, 140 to 199 milligrams per deciliter would indicate impaired glucose tolerance. And then hemoglobin A1C is 5.7 to 6.4%. So you'll see that on your test, and a lot of doctors just order it. They may not even ask you. They just order it because they're concerned. Are there ways from a supplement perspective to manage blood glucose levels?
Well, there are ways to help support it for sure. Besides me going off on a rant that says, we used to say to obese patients way back in the day when I was doing cardiac rehab, because the standard answer was, well, I want to eat what I want to eat.
Well,
okay. Well, if you want to eat what you want to eat, somehow find a way to be a marathoner. Somehow find a way to be a triathlete. Because really and truly, to be able to eat whatever you want to eat, whenever you want to eat it, and how much of whatever you want to eat, I don't know. I was like, well, number one, it's incredibly childlike, but I can't tell you how many patients over the years that was sort of their motto. And I said, nobody gets to do that. Nobody gets to eat whatever they want, whenever they want, at whatever quantity. It's just like I want to do whatever I want to do, breaking the law. Nobody gets to do that. There's always going to be a repercussion. And so, again, when I think about supplementation, you can't have a really crappy diet and be completely sedentary and then somehow expect Jarrow Formula's glucose optimizer to fix it all. It's not going to happen.
No.
So we're talking about people that are making good choices, that are really conscientious about what foods they're taking in, how much of what foods they're taking in, that they're more active, they walk whenever possible. Little things add up. So I always say, a little bit of activity is better than no activity. To answer your question, my favorite is Glucose Optimizer from Jarrow Formula.
And what about that product?
So our Glucose Optimizer is a great combination of different ingredients, actually, that support glucose metabolism as well as antioxidant status. So, for example, we have alpha-lipoic acid, banaba, gymnema, bitter melon, eucalyptus, magnesium, resveratrol, all together in this incredible synergistic blend, all of which can stand alone. So Jara Formulas never does a proprietary blend where the ingredients are not strong enough to stand alone. We don't believe in the window dressing kinds of quantities just to say that it's in there, but yet it does nothing.
I know people that take that product and they have glucose issues, and this really, they say, the anecdotal, I've talked to more than a few people, and they say it's just a terrific product. It works, and I like it. 877-897-8255. How much of that do you take a day?
Well, so we recommend, according to the label, that people take 4 tablets. However, because it works so well and it's highly effective, you might want to start with 1 or 2 and see how you feel. And if you are one of those people that are needing to measure your blood sugar, just see if it helps you. And then, you can always add. But, Jara, we sort of have this motto across the board, probiotics included, less is more. So start less, and then you can always add if you feel that you need more. But our label says 4.
877-897-8255. Now, whether you may not be pre-diabetic, you may not be a diabetic, but you still, as Dominique was pointed out, sooner or later, if you're eating a diet, a high glycemic loaded diet, sooner or later you're gonna have to take the car into the shop.
That's right.
That's
right. You pay the piper at some point.
That's why you make good choices when you eat, and a lot of people don't do that.
Well, you would think, right, making a good choice, Gary, but food. People think food. I said this the other day. I saw an article in Time, and they were talking about food as medicine, and I thought, well, yeah, Hippocrates said that over 2,000 years ago. What, alert the media? Well, I mean, my God. And I said, when somebody's walking into a fast food restaurant, ordering a triple burger with everything on it, fries and the pie, and do you think they're walking in there with the idea that food is healing, has medicinal properties? No, they're walking in there to eat food because it tastes good. That's it. That's all they care about. And they don't, food can heal. Well, yeah, but food can kill too, and it does every day. And I'm just saying, this is so obvious. I'm embarrassed to even say this because I sound like Captain Obvious here. But somebody's got to say it. You got to say it. I don't know. I mean, how many people do you think walking around the planet think, oh, yeah, the food I eat is going to heal me, or kill me? I don't know. Yeah, you pay a price. The Dominique hit it on the head. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. Okay? You can't do it. We'll be back.
Want to get at the core issues that make weight loss so difficult? Try
I was reporting on a story about toxic chemical found in some of the leading beer brands, of all things. Yeah. You know, Budweiser, Corona, Sam Adams. The list was a pretty long list. And then they tried to comfort the reader by saying, but they were found at, subtoxic levels. Not to worry. Nothing to see here. Drink up. Well, persuade me. What was the you laugh at me. What was makes me mad, Gary, because
I see it.
It does. It's not right. Now a person can't even have a beer, right, without worrying about it. What was the chemical? Was it bisphenol? Was it A, arsenic, B, bisphenol A, BPA, or glyphosate? What was the chemical that they found in these leading beer brands at supposedly at subtoxic levels, not to worry about it level? What was it? Arsenic, bisphenol A, BPA, or glyphosate? I'll give you a hint. It would have something to do with your yard. Here's the number to call.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK.
Welcome back, Dominique. So the glucose optimizer would be a great product to help blood glucose and insulin levels. What else do you have at Jarrow Formulas that could help?
So what I also really like Terastilbene. I know we've talked about it on the air in different contexts, but I really do like Terastilbene as far as supporting cardiovascular health and helping to control blood sugar. It's if people have never heard of it, it's a resveratrol-like stilbene with a longer half-life in the body than resveratrol. So it's more fat soluble, or fat cells take it in, so it stays a little bit longer in the body. But I think that the studies actually with our raw materials, which is TerraPure, for controlling blood sugar, are actually quite impressive. So you could even actually add Terastilbene. If you're taking glucose optimizer, you can take Terastilbene. The unique part of that particular product is that it acts like a caloric mimetic also, that it works on your sirtuin pathways. So on your SIRT1 pathway.
What will that mean?
So when there's activity associated with the sirtuins, there is a wide range of benefits, including caloric restrictions, or including, it's a caloric mimetic. So in other words, when we're doing fasting, for example, we are increasing our sirtuin-1 pathways, and we're having less effect on the aging process. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean in like layman's terms? It means that you're going to positively affect the aging process, because the more we eat, and especially the more crap we eat, the more oxidative stress we have.
That's right.
Every time we eat, we have oxidative stress. So when you have a supplement that acts like a caloric mimetic, we are then prohibiting that, or we're not having that oxidative stress response, and therefore not creating an accelerated aging process. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Did I explain that right?
So here's the health question of the day. They found this chemical at subtoxic levels in top name brand beers. What was it? Arsenic, bisphenol A, BPA, or glyphosate? I'll give you a hint. One word. Weeds. Weeds. Does that help? Here's the number.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to kill the weeds, but it's another thing to, contaminate humans. What do you make of that claim? Well, these are at suboptimal toxic levels. Not to worry. Nothing to worry. Drink up. Have at it. What do you make of that? Are you?
Oh my gosh. I am a cumulative person. I really believe that things add up. Good, bad, or indifferent, things add up.
Don't they?
So I don't know. Like, so if I just like took my finger and just touched a little bit of Roundup on my fingertip to my tongue every day, all right, it's not going to do anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, there's another hint.
Know.
There's another hint. Roundup. That's weeds and Roundup. So what was
sorry,
it?
Did I give the answer?
No, you didn't. Was it arsenic, bisphenol A, or glyphosate? Weeds and Roundup. That's the clue. 877-897-8255. So your glucose optimizer for glucose control, the Terra Still Bean would be another good choice, taken in combination. What else?
Alpha-lipoic cysteine. So our alpha-lipoic cysteine is something that we have a bilayer technology on. So our bilayer technology is 1/3 quick release and 2/3 sustained release. So how that would help people that are running high blood sugar is that it's a prolonged exposure in the body of alpha-lipoic acid, so to help sustain.
And that alpha-lipoic acid has been known to help moderate glucose?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. See, there's things you can do. I mean, if you're not going to eat your way into better health, maybe you can swallow some pills into better health. I don't know. At some point, doctors get frustrated that the patient demands the prescription. They write it, and then they don't take it. You can take drugs or you can take nutraceuticals, whatever, do something. So we gave you 3 choices so far. Speed dial me, get this $25 supplement gift card. I'll give you 2 choices. Was it arsenic or was it glyphosate that they found in these beer products, top brands? Weeds and Roundup. Those are the 2 clues. Weeds and Roundup. 877-897-8255. Speed dial me, get that $25 supplement gift card. As we go off the air, Stephen will take your answer and still give you credit. Anything else that you could mention real quick?
Well, I do like citrus bergamot also. For controlling blood sugar, I think that, or helping to support blood sugar control. I think citrus bergamot has a good place. It's new, it's or newer to the blood sugar arsenal, so to speak. My favorites really are alpha-lipoic by itself or glucose optimizer, which has alpha-lipoic.
Thank you. Your health is your wealth.
Everyone's raving about the newest botanical superstar hitting the store shelves.